Welcome back to another episode of Big Moves, Bigger Conversations. I'm your host, Sasha, and in studio, I wish I had applause. I have none other than Victor, who will affectionately go by Vic for the remaining of this episode. Welcome to the episode, Vic.
Thank you. Thank you.
I am, as always, excited to have you in my presence.
Likewise.
Vic, I'm going to go ahead and give some kind words. Is that okay?
Okay, that's fine.
All right. So Vic and I met maybe a year and a half ago through a mutual friend. And Vic and and I'm just going to give my perspective. You can clarify. Vic and I connected in a way because I think we see each other.
We see each other.
We do. We have a very similar style in the fact that we are what we deem truth tellers. We at least feel very confident when we're walking into rooms. We both have big personalities and we have opinions. And I love anyone that has opinions, can take an opinion, can stand in a room against the odds. And so I think that is Vic. But on a serious note, I think Vic is an incredible person. I don't always think he gets his applause in real time. He is such a good friend. He is someone who is consistent, caring, and optimistic. I've seen the way in which you pour into some of the people that we have in the audience, the way to them. But his friendships, to me, is the way I've seen him interact with other people is the reason I wanted to be in community with him. I think you have just you come from such a genuine place. And in Atlanta, you don't always get to see that. People are always what I deem social climbers. And so to see someone who is elevating personally, professionally, but still staying grounded is why you are on today's episode of Big Moves, Bigger Conversation.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Of course, Victor. So Vic, I always like to give background.
Yes.
And so I don't really know how we met. So I'm going to open it up to you to share because I know your memory is better than mine.
Okay. Do not count on it. I don't know. I want to say we probably met from going out. I want to say it was like during the summertime going out, being in Revel, standing up on top of the sections and stuff. We went to Ringa, having a ball. And we met partying. That is how we met.
So anytime you see Victor, who is sitting but is easily 6'3", literally every time we go out, he's always in my ear yelling. You could find us in a nightclub and you just see him yelling at this girl's
ear. Yapping, like a serious full-blown conversation in the middle of the club. Like, wait till later in a more appropriate time. And I'm just like, and then you know what happened?
Yapper in this. Every time I think it's so funny, but it just goes back to, you are somebody who shows up in the moment and you connect with people. And that's why I really want to dig into friendship. And so we're going to jump right into the episode because I feel like it's a lot that I want to cover. So Vic, you've been in Atlanta for some time.
Yeah.
And professionally, you've thrived. I mean, I don't really want to focus today's episode on, professionally where you stand. He's been on other podcasts. You can check those out. But you are someone who has thrived professionally. And so financially, you've risen. And so in today's episode, I also want to highlight some of the ways in which you approach business and then how that relates to your friendships too.
Yeah.
All right. So starting off, let's do a baseline. Vic, how do you define friendship?
My definition of friendship is someone who is consistent, transparent, someone who holds you accountable. I think sometimes the definition of friendship for certain people is different, in my opinion, depending on like the instance in which I met them, because like a different capacity of friendship. But for my like closest friends, it's just transparency, consistency, accountability, vulnerability, like those kind of things, and support. And so I think that I'm a supportive person sometimes to a fault. And I think that it's important to have friends that also are able to pour that into you, because it gets to a point where it's just like, I have nothing to give to anyone. I have nothing. Nothing.
And now he wants to be a singer, not on this podcast.
Well, you might be able to catch me at your local karaoke.
No, but going back into friendship, do you feel like that definition of friendship or how you're bucketing folks has changed over the years?
Absolutely. I think that, especially coming to Atlanta and just meeting different people and experiencing different definitions of friendship, I was able to realize things that I don't really want.
Yeah.
And it was really on me to be able to see those things and switch up how I handled them and the people that I chose to call a friend and like, my inner circle and stuff like that. So that's something that I experienced through like trial and error.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's no fault to anyone. It's just like, you live and you learn, you grow, you realize what is for you, what isn't.
Yeah.
And,
How often are you doing what I deem a friendship audit to say, do I want to continue building with said person or connecting with said person or interacting? How often do you find yourself doing those types of audits, if at all?
I honestly don't really do them.
Okay.
I think that my close friend group is pretty consistent.
Yeah.
And I think that once certain things happen and it creates a pattern and I'm like, okay, well, this person obviously is not going to be a good fit for this. Then I think in those instances, it's more so like, okay, well, this person has to go.
Yeah.
And that's not like a 0 to 100 kind of thing. It's like a repeated pattern kind of thing. But I don't really think about it from that perspective. I mean, it kind of reminds me of work. I probably should. But...
Yeah, you absolutely should. I think as I got older, because there's not a significant age difference. Zoom in. But I do think as you get older, you do start to realize that it's important to evaluate how people are showing up in your life. And before it becomes an incident, right? You're doing that assessment to say, hey, perhaps this person isn't serving me in a way that is supportive or following on a path that I'm going. And so that would be my recommendation to you, because if you're finding that I'm always doing things from a retroactive perspective, is probably already impacting you. And as you get older, you want to limit that impact.
Yeah, I think that my method is kind of like more passive, because I feel like I'll meet some people and it's, again, like nothing personal for them, but I'll meet people and it's just like, you're not for me. Like, I don't want to be in the same like settings and stuff like that. And it's, I don't know, it kind of comes off as like uppity to an extent, but
Vic, I've actually seen that play out. But before I go to that, no, I did, right? Like I remember more recently I was hosting an event and I felt like you showed up differently in that setting. And we had like a short conversation about it, but I am one, at least in Atlanta, where I like to be social and I like to be overly inclusive. And so if a friend invites a friend, like, it's not a big deal, but I am finding that it's getting challenging.
That's me too.
To navigate that, because you can bring one person in the room as an addition. And even though I don't necessarily know them, you could have a friend of a friend that has history, and then I don't get the Vic that I love.
Yeah.
And to me, it's more important that I see you than it's +1 that I have no connection to.
And that's funny that you say that, because on my end, my friends get on me all the time about inviting people around into spaces, and they're like, when did y'all become friends? like when did you get to the point of inviting this person around? And so I had to realize, like, with myself, that same thing. And so I still do it, honestly, but I'm trying to be like more intentional about doing it, because it does sometimes create an issue. And it's like, especially in Atlanta, you deal with the gays. It's like, all right, well, put 20 of them now. And it's like, whoo.
And it generally doesn't happen during the setting. It's the conversations after.
Yeah.
Which is insane to me, because I'm like, well, when we all just in the room, why are you sending me a text message?
And as soon as you say that, now you're the big messy one. Like,
but I want to go back to a point that you made earlier around you sort of making these distinctions around how people show up in your life. Are these conversations that you're having with the other person, or these are all just evaluations that you're doing in your head? How does that play out?
I will say that I could probably do better with having those conversations out loud. For me personally, it's more like a mental note thing. Like, I'm not as, and it depends. Like, if we have a conversation about it, like, I'm more open to kind of having those conversations when I am a little under the influence. And it's like, okay, like, I can speak on this. But other times I always have this thought process where, okay, well, you can just bottle it up or navigate it and stuff like that. So I am more passive with that. And I could probably do a better job at being more forthcoming with that, because I mean, we all are human and we all, live and learn and stuff. But at the same time, I never want to come off as like being judgmental or like holding somebody's feet to the fire, when it's instances where someone holds my feet to the fire and stuff like that.
And it's not a fair assessment.
Right. So I probably could be more transparent with those conversations. But as of right now, it has been like more passive. Like if I notice like a certain consistent pattern of behavior in my mind, I'll just go ahead and adapt to that or like fall back or adjust, whatever the case is, versus having a conversation. Because what I also realized is when you have conversations with certain people, they have to be able to hold themselves accountable. So if you can't have those conversations with them, then that turns into a, okay, well now I'm putting a target on your back because you kind of clocked my T in a sense. And now it's just excuses and stuff like that. And I see right through that. So I'm like, I'm not about to sit here and let you excuse certain behaviors. But, it's just, it varies. And I try to be as forthcoming as possible. But, sometimes I just don't want to deal with stuff.
I think I equally struggle with that. Some feedback that I recently got from someone in the room is people aren't always clear about where they stand with you. And I never put emphasis on that, right? Like I feel like through my actions, you can see if you're somebody that I want to connect with or not. But I was a bit reflective in that moment to say, hey, maybe I should be more forthcoming and have those conversations around, hey, we have a good time socially, but from long-term engagement, like I wouldn't hang out with you outside of a social setting. And like, even if that doesn't feel kind, it's doing that other person a disservice if they're leaning into a relationship that I don't see value.
See, and I can honestly be more transparent with those kind of instances as well, because I encounter a lot of people who want more of a friendship. And in my mind, I'm just kind of like, no. And it's like, I don't say that. I'm just like, okay, well, just hit me up, just let me know, whatever the case is.
With no intention of
right. And in my mind, I'm like,
But I think that's interesting that because this person is a mutual friend and he gave that feedback to me, then we will be talking about this after the podcast. But switching over, Nick, how often are you finding in Atlanta specifically that you are engaging in a friendship that, to your point, isn't serving you? Are you finding that as you're getting older, those conversations are coming up more frequently or not so much?
I think that as I'm getting older, I want a different crowd around me in a sense. And previously, like, as you know, we all went out, had a good time, enjoyed ourselves and stuff like that. And that was always a good time. But when you consistently are out with people having a good time and stuff like that, and you don't really dive deeper to really understand like how they are as an individual and stuff and how they maneuver, and you don't see that stuff in action, and then when you finally do see it in action, it's like, wait a minute, like I didn't think that you were going to handle this in that manner. So in those instances, it is to an extent kind of disappointing, but at the same time, I can't really say it's disappointing because I dealt with people on a surface level, and the frequency kind of made it seem like it was deeper than what it was. But in reality, it's like once you really dig, it's like,
it's the depth, right? You're not interested in getting to know people that only have the capacity.
Right.
That's a new word I learned through therapy. The capacity to show up in a certain way, and they're not able to pour into you, which you said was one of your qualities. One of the ways that we've connected is by way of business. I shared on a previous episode, season 1, rather, we talked a lot about real estate. And so you are now someone who is going into that field, and you're starting your investment portfolio, your rental portfolio. And I remember reaching out to you, like, Victor, you're not one that gatekeeps, which again is a quality that I look for. Am I in relations with someone who can educate me? And I feel like I've reached out to you a number of times, and it's never been like, oh girl, get back to me. It's always been like, oh, literally, like, here's the information. Oh, I don't have it right now, but like, I'm gonna reach out to my contacts. I mean, you've done that in a number of times, and so I'm appreciative, if I haven't said it before, of you being a consistent resource. But I do want to get into real estate. Where are you going as it relates to building out your real estate portfolio?
I just want right now. I think I want to get like 5 properties total, and then I'm probably going to pause for a bit and like the whole. I saw this one video on YouTube with this guy was talking about once you get to like a certain number,
it no longer becomes a return.
And then it's like you could just like whatever money you're getting, just kind of focus on the lowest mortgage, pay that one off, and then watch rents repeat until they're all paid off, and then expand some more. So right now, like I close on my next one on the 29th. So. I was actually there this morning. I had to put like a lockbox on the back because I'm renting to Section 8, so the inspector's gonna come on Monday, and hopefully my tenant will be moving in October 1st, and the other one should be moving in like mid-October. So Yeah, I don't know exactly where I'm headed with that.
Yeah.
I'm figuring out as I go. I just know that I do want a rental portfolio, and I ideally would want like at least 10 or 15K a month from like rental income.
Yeah.
And I need to just, keep at it until that gets there. But that's going to be like one aspect of it. I also want businesses and stuff. So, and in the works of that, but I don't know exactly. I'm just figuring it out. I just want money. I just want to, a certain lifestyle and to have fun.
You got the lifestyle. Should that smile? Should that smile? No, but even leaning into the other businesses. So you keep me honest here, because I'm going to give a short summary, but like keep me honest. You are doing your next investment with someone you deem a friend, or is this okay? So right, with our theme being friendship, how comfortable were you leaning into the idea of investing with someone into a business that you're also new in, with a friend, and how were you? I guess, how did you evaluate that was the right decision?
So for that business venture specifically, well, I have had like failed business ventures before.
Okay.
Like it was this one business called like DFY Commerce, and people on the line probably know about it and stuff. I lost like $20-something thousand on that.
Explain. I'm not familiar.
So basically, you have like this group of people who wholesale things on Amazon and stuff. They have their own warehouse, their own customer service team and stuff like that. So you pretty much buy in, and then they take a percentage of your sales per month. The problem was it was 3 of them, and one of the guys was pretty much the person that was carrying the entire organization. And he ended up leaving the organization for one reason or another. And the 2 that were remaining there, they didn't really know what they were doing. So they ran into the ground. So it got to a point where too many people were threatening to sue them. So their attorney came back and was pretty much like, hey, well, we can get on a payment plan. You can sign this contract to release us from your contract. And then we can pay you like, as income comes in. That didn't really make any sense to me, because I'm just like, you out here driving around in, like a Urus and stuff like that. But you're talking about something you're going to pay people back as money allows. So that makes sense. So that was kind of like a $20-something thousand loss that I went ahead and took in that regard. And at that point, it shifted from, I'm not leaning into those things where it's like buy in and then get like a profit return and stuff like that. Like I want to handle everything that I do on my own.
Okay.
So that kind of ties into with my friend. He previously had a restaurant, and it was a successful restaurant. Like he made over $1 million his first year, and he has a large following. So he is more on he's a chef, so he's more on like the buy the product, cook the food, sell the food and stuff like that. And on the business aspect, that's where I excel. And that's the addition that he needed in order to keep that previous restaurant open, but it wasn't there. So when he went ahead and closed that restaurant, because we were having those kind of conversations prior to him closing the restaurant. So we were already talking about like us going into business together, but I didn't really realize the severity of the situation until he actually did close the restaurant. And at that point I was like, oh, wow. So I'm like, okay, well, we can't really let this go to waste, because you have a following, you are talented and you know what you're doing and stuff like that. And I want a business as well. So that just kind of turned into, okay, well, let's just go ahead and do it together. And he allows me to have like full reins over things from a business standpoint, knowing that I'm able to handle that piece, because like that's what I feel that I'm good at. And he's able to operate in his capacity. So that's kind of the reason why I'm okay with that. And I can also control it, opposed to the previous instance where I lost that money by allowing other people to control something that they didn't know what they were doing. If I fell with my own money, it's completely different than somebody else fell with my money. Because at that point, I want to go to court. I want to sue. Like,
and one thing about me, I've been in the court.
Okay.
I'm always in the court.
I love a lawsuit. I love an attorney.
Okay, so when you're thinking about this investment, investing in this business with your friend, have you given thought to how you guys, I know you said you segmented him doing the operations and you sort of owning the back office, but have you guys thought about parameters around how you're going to handle any kind of conflict?
Well, we're both very transparent people. We've already kind of butted heads a little bit already. And those conversations were always productive. It was never a conversation where it was like, okay, well, it escalated and it went to the left or whatever the case is. We're able to articulate ourselves and speak our perspectives and kind of find common ground and stuff, even with like the profit split for the restaurant. That became like a conversation.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're pretty much opening a business off of the back of what he already built.
Yeah.
So initially it was like a 50-50 kind of thing. And at first it was like, I had some friends, I was like, okay, well, you're putting up the money for everything, so keep it with 50-50. But when you really kind of think about it, I already told him I'm not going to be in that restaurant as much as you are.
Yeah.
Like, I know for a fact.
Day to day.
Yeah. Day to day, you're going to be there much more than I am. You're going to be operating, like, ordering the food and stuff like that. You're going to be there ensuring everything is tip top. I'll assist with, onboarding new hires and stuff like that, whatever the case is. But I'm like, you're going to have a lot more time in that restaurant. So when we had that discussion to change the profit split, that was kind of a conversation that was a bit difficult at first, but we were able to talk it through and it was fair. So, I mean, I'm not really concerned about that. I feel like we could just have a conversation about whatever.
Yeah. I feel like leaning into the topic of difficult conversations, I recently saw you in action. Do you know what I'm talking about?
No.
I'm going to give you a full intro, but essentially a couple of nights ago, we were out. It was a Thursday night at a very popular place here in Atlanta. And we were talking about another potential guest on the podcast who is your good friend and someone I'm getting to know in a different capacity.
Right.
But I appreciated from that conversation, or really looking at you guys have it, is that there was a level of trust there that I loved.
Yeah.
It was because you were coming from a place of protection.
Yeah.
And Vic, you give me big brother.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's intentional, like by nature, if that's how you're choosing to show up, or is it just inherent? But I saw that interaction and I just thought, and I actually ran back to my good friend and was like, I wish you was outside. Like, this conversation was, if it was a camera crew, you would be like, oh my goodness, like we're all crying because you 100% had this person's best interest. And you said, it's not that I'm saying I don't want you to do this, or I don't think you're capable of doing this. It's more so, I don't want the rest of the world to put you in a place where they're nitpicking.
Yeah.
Because in Atlanta, that's what happens. You get in these little circles and you find that people will nitpick.
Yeah.
And instead of being encouraging, it becomes a conversation around how can I dig in and find a misstep.
Yeah.
And so is that intentional with just that person, or that is how you show up consistently when it comes to friends?
I think that with him, it's definitely intentional with him.
Yeah.
I feel like my closest friends, I feel like, like intentionally, unintentionally, it's kind of like my job to protect them to a certain extent and stuff. And I would say that I just feel like I know what I've went through. Regardless, if it comes from when it comes to friends in Atlanta, when it comes to like things that happen on social media, when it comes to like just anything in general, I already know like people are really nitpicky with me. Like to the point where I made a tweet, I think like 2 days ago.
Yeah.
It was my first tweet of the day. I was working on the game.
Tweet of the day.
Okay.
Oh, he has a large following.
I made one tweet. It was literally one tweet. And I had said, the way that y'all are acting behind Cardi's pregnancy is weird. And next thing you know, somebody in the mentions like, is it weird, blah, 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 blah. And then that person kept going on and on.
Yeah.
And then they started referencing like a situation that happened like several months ago. And I'm just like, who are you people? And I clicked the page, it's like a fake page. So I'm like, one thing about it, people nitpick with me all the time. I don't understand why. I feel like I might be an easy target for them, maybe because I respond back, whatever the case is. So it's like whenever I had the opportunity to kind of get ahead of that when it comes to people that I love and care for, it's like, I don't want you to be in that kind of situation.
Yeah.
So in order to alleviate it, kind of go this route to ensure that you won't have to deal with that. Because sometimes if you put yourself out there too soon, the way these people are set up, like it's just, I don't know, like they're just miserable. They'll sit at home and just...
When you have no business, it's easy to get into everybody else's.
Hello.
It's not easy doubling down or investing in yourself without it's almost like everyone has an opinion. I mean, even when we think about
with no license to
bigger conversation.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, you should do this. Yes, babes. You should also invest. Give me a sponsorship.
Right.
And then we can talk through it. So I think being able to isolate the noise or push the noise out is also something that you have to be really critical. I do want to talk about conflict without giving names, because again, you won't have any recourse on this channel. You will not be able to sue Big Boo's Bigger Conversation. So without providing names, right, or giving specifics, you've had some fallouts with your following. And so how have you been able to maneuver when you are facing the spotlight and having people be critical around your actions?
That's something that I'm like still navigating to this day.
Yeah.
I have realized like when I have a conversation with myself, the way that I do show up on social media is significantly different than I did previously.
Yeah.
Like on Twitter, for example, I was very outspoken. I would just, tweet for fun. Like it was just my opinions and stuff like that. Over time, like things in a moment don't seem that big, but when you think about it, this person, that person, that person, that person, that person, it becomes a point where it's just like, okay, well, everybody's trying to label you as the problem. And you can't even speak your mind without somebody having an issue with something. So, and even with like, in-person conflicts and stuff, like I've had social media interactions translate to real life interactions. And it's just like, how are you coming onto my page, starting with me, and then being upset at me because I'm responding back to you, and then this translates to a real life thing? Or if something that happened in real life, now you're on social media, like just constantly, like what are you doing? So it's something that I'm still trying to navigate myself, and it kind of ties into like the whole being too friendly aspect of things, because I do think that I make the mistake of engaging with people that I probably should not be friends with. And it's like just me being nice. And it's like, we have a conversation, whatever the case is, we're out. Oh, follow me. Okay, I'll follow you back. Next thing you know, you're involved in something weird that's going on. And it's like, I don't even know this person for real, but it's like we're following each other, whatever the case is. So that's something that I'm still trying to navigate. But for right now, I have noticed that it has made me like much more closed off, and I don't really like that because I feel like I'm a very outspoken, bubbly person. Like that, like in real life and stuff. But on social media, whoopsies. But on social media, I do feel like I have changed how I show up on there, and it really does suck because I think
it was your outlet.
Yeah, I want to show like far more personality, but at the same time, I don't want to deal with the other side of that. Like, I post something, someone's like, oh, well, he's being braggadocious. And it's like, no, this is my life, babe. I'm not being braggadocious. This is just who I am. Like, if you're bothered by the reality that I live, then that's a personal issue. But it's, it's something that I'm navigating, trying to figure out, but I'm just hoping that it doesn't get to a point where I kind of close off from it completely, because I don't think anyone should kind of have that kind of influence or power. And I have my moments. Like sometimes I'm gonna pop my shit. But in other moments, I'm just like, I'm not going to do certain stuff. I don't feel like dealing with like the messages, the mentions.
I can't remember who said it, but it was a celebrity that said, even though I have over 20,000 comments, the negative ones seem to stand out. And I've gone viral on social media, and I had folks commenting on things that I said, is this a real, like, how did you zoom in on that?
Exactly.
And I'm not going to put that on my platform for you to sit there. There was something that they kind of picked up, and then it was not a huge percentage of what people were actually talking about. Most people zoomed in and said, oh, this is the message that she's sharing. Like, I love her down, da, 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 da. But there was a very small group. And to me, it's just like, how do you move past it without changing? And so I'll share with you what I do. I'm not embarrassed by anything I put on social media. I do not allow other people to put and I had a friend do this morning. She basically said, we were talking about something. She was like, but Sasha, you put that up there and that made me cringe. Surely it made you cringe. It didn't make me cringe, right? But you have a complex about social media. So you don't post in general. So when I post something, I'm absolutely comfortable personally, professionally about what I'm posting, because I'm assuming my audience is tuning in for me. And depending on how long you've been around, Sasha shows up in every room as Sasha. And if you're coming there to find something wrong, doesn't matter what I do, you're going to find something wrong. And so once you, again, this is my perspective, once you zone it, double click on the fact that people are living out loud their insecurities.
They really are. And that's what frustrates me the most. Is just like, these are all personal issues. And it's like, instead of you just closing out of the app and going to talk to a therapist and unpacking this stuff, you're online projecting it to people, you're bothering people and stuff like that. And it's like, in real life, I can still be myself. But on social media, it's like, but I've had people come up to me from social media and say, oh, I love X, Y, and Z. And it is like reassuring and it's refreshing. But at the same time, like you said, like all of those negative things, especially when those negative things turn into like physical interactions in real life. At that point, it becomes like, okay, like I'm really sick of y'all. Like, it's like, I've been in instances where people I don't even know are like looking at me funny, mugging at me.
And we share this. Mark.
Hello. And that's the thing. It's like, and I don't want to go on social media and kind of have that image and whatever the case is, but it's like, in real life, it's like, you're going to get what you get. But it's
touchy. Go ahead and take a deep breath. Let's hold it. No, I think it's important, right? Like, we are still growing as you. We're going to have missteps. I am encouraging you to continue to show up in the way that that feels most authentic. We have folks in the audience now who have gone through things similarly on a larger scale, where they have been social bullied off a platform. You know what I mean? And it's just like, it is strange that people take time out of their life to do things like that, but it's also an aspect of life. And if, I don't know who said this, but if you don't have haters, you're not doing enough. And so have them come.
I'm doing a lot and I'm tired of them already. I'm really tired of them. Sometimes I just want to be like, please say anything to me. I just want to tweet in peace, okay? Like, I don't want to argue. I just want to tweet. Like,
all right, Vic, we talked a lot about your friendships and your investment portfolio. I want to double click into Victor. So, Vic, if you had to describe yourself in 3 adjectives, what are those 3 adjectives?
I would say goofy. Definitely goofy.
Do you want me to give you mine?
What are yours?
For you.
Okay.
Okay. I think Victor is charismatic, engaging, and fun.
Yeah.
You are fun.
Yeah.
I mean, you can slide that out for goofy. Okay.
Yeah.
You were doing a lot of singing before, and I was doing the hands from that. Do that again in my studio.
That could have been my moment, my big break. Like,
but what are yours? What do you think holds true? Victor is.
I would say ambitious.
Yeah.
Already said the goofy part. And I would say caring.
Yeah.
I feel like it's those 3. I feel like regardless of what I do at all, in some form, shape, or fashion, comes back to one of those.
Yeah. What are 3 things Victor needs to work on?
Oh
wow.
Yeah,
we need a moment for self-reflection.
All right, let's take a moment for self-reflection. I would say vulnerability, like not in this capacity. I would say like relationship wise, because I have been single for over 10 years.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Hello. It's been since 20. Okay, a decade, 2011 to be specific, 14 years. Oh yeah, like it's been like since 2011, and I think that's something I do need to unpack.
Yeah.
I do feel like that I'll get very close to people, and I'm just so used to having my world and my bubble and stuff that I'll like pull back. That's one thing that I need to work on. The second thing is maintaining like a specific focus. I have ADHD and it just manifests when it comes to like professionally and business wise. I just want to do everything. I'm just like, I want to do this, I want to do that, I want to try that, I want to try that. And then I'm over there like doing some work meetings, but then over here registering and turning electricity on at my building. And then I'm over here like reaching out trying to find like okay. I was over here. I literally have like 3 setups in front of me, like screen, keyboard.
Yeah.
I keep hitting this. But that's the second thing, probably just like being more focused. And the third thing I would say, kind of like tuning noise out in a sense, because I think that certain things I allow to get to me too much that really shouldn't. Because in reality, like you're not stopping anything, you can't.
No.
But it's just the fact of me hearing the noise gets on my nerves, but it's not like the noise changes anything. But those 3 things I would say.
Love that. I would say for me, vulnerability. I recently had a session and my therapist, what made this as helpful for you, she said relationship is built off of trust and the other person sort of leaning in. But you have the expectation for the other person, but are you willing to do it?
See, that's the problem. I feel like I show up in ways that I want to show up. And then when it turns into a ways like a method in which I don't fully feel comfortable in, then I'm just like, no. And it's like, I expect someone to just be okay with me being like, no. But you can't tell someone that kind of stuff. You know, it's like a give and take thing. And I'll give how I want to give. And it's like how they want me to give. Then that might be the disconnect. And I'm like,
you're not willing to put in the word.
Wow.
Do you want us to be honest on big
things? Well, these are big conversations. So, I mean, that might be part of it. So that might be a part of
well, I want you to tune into one of these episodes. I'm having a therapist come on, and she's essentially going to talk to me about areas of improvement around relationships across the gamut. So, family, friends, and relationships. So maybe you'll learn something from that episode.
I'm gonna get her information.
But Vic, before we close out, I want to give you an opportunity. I've been doing this consistently on the podcast where we give a call to action. If you had the ability to give a call to action to our audience under the theme of friendship, what would that be?
I would just say for that, be the most authentic that you can. Like have that self-reflection, understand that I think a lot of people are friends with people because of the aesthetic of it.
Yeah.
And I think that becomes a problem because it's like, y'all are not really friends.
Yeah.
And especially in Atlanta, it's like you hear people talk about people so much behind their back and stuff like that. So it's just like, align yourself with friends that you are able to genuinely be friends with, opposed to, oh, we look cute when we go out. Or, oh, you know.
Oh, we're on a trip and it's 27 people, so we are wearing yellow.
Yeah, it's just like.
Shade, but no shade.
You know, it's instances like that where it's just like, I wish that it was more of like a structured friendship kind of thing, because it's honestly disheartening sometimes when you see friend groups and it's like, okay, y'all are always together. However, you hear the conversations that y'all have individually. And so I feel like that's kind of the one call to action, especially in Atlanta.
Yeah.
It's just, it's
sickening.
It's very sickening. It makes me sick. I'm tired.
Upset.
Okay. It pisses me off.
Well, Vic, I am so happy that you joined me. This 30 minutes went by way too quick. I just want to say I appreciate you coming on Big Moves, Bigger Conversations. Excited for all of your future endeavors. Wishing you the best of luck. Happy to lean in. And I can't wait to host my launch party at the restaurant. Embrace Me.
Yes. You will have it there.
Excited. Thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of Big Moves, Bigger Conversations. I'm your host, Sasha. Thank you for watching another episode of Big Moves, Bigger Conversations. Like, subscribe. Thank you for watching another episode of Big Moves, Bigger Conversations. Like, subscribe.